Hello, I'm Tom Prunty from State Farm here at WBOC's Historic Studio D. You're watching Delmarva Life.
Great having Tom here this afternoon. Some excellent tips for saving money on gas.
Yes, well, romance novels are nothing new. They've been around since the mid-18th century. Now, you can buy them just about anywhere, from a bookstore to a grocery store.
Aside from reading one, have you ever thought about what it takes to write one? Brian Spiros explains. For one woman in Talbot County, it's a process that requires a great deal of concentration.
How are you? I'm good. How are you? Yeah, we'll take a seat.
During the spring and summer months, you'll find Susan Marmo at the Scottish Highland Creamery in Oxford. She spends a great deal of time making, scooping, and serving the ice cream she and her husband are famous for. But when all of that calms down and the fall and winter arrive, Susan becomes another person.
I'm an author. I love romance novels.
In fact, Susan has 2 published books and a 3rd one on the way. Much of the writing is done here, inside her home in Easton. And when it comes to writing a romance novel, Susan says there are certain requirements.
In order to qualify as a romance, there has to be a heroine and a hero, and there has to be trials and tribulations, both personal and external, and then there has to be a happy ending.
Susan began reading romance novels after a friend introduced her to them. Then, Susan says a stressful job and restless leg syndrome left her in bed, tossing and turning at night.
So I started making stories up in my head and just trying to go somewhere else to, the more you thought about your legs, the more it went, and then it exacerbated your stress at work. So I just made up stories, and every night I would go to bed and I'd close my eyes and I'd go to my special place and I'd add more to the story and more and more. Finally, one day I was like, I need to write that down. That's kind of good.
The stories Susan began piecing together in her head eventually led to her first book.
I thought, I really need to do something with this. I enjoy this story. I consider myself to be the typical romance reader. So I tried to do something with it, and I got really lucky, and I got involved with a smaller publisher, and they were excellent with their editing and helped me get it out there.
That book, titled For the Rest of My Life.
The first book got reviewed as Bridget Jones's Diary meets Pretty Woman.
Explain to me how the second book came about.
Just Sophie came about because the beginning line came to my head, which was, Sophie put the gun away. And I thought, I need to write a book around that. Sophie put the gun away, only 11 more bullets. Then she would have to sort something else out to use for hunting dinner.
So not only are you writing, but you're having to bring the pages of the book to life for the reader. Any
editor will tell you that it's more difficult than we, the writer, think, because the only thing to keep in mind is that you want to show the reader, not tell the reader. You could tell a story, but you want to show the story. You want to play it out like a movie scene with exactly what's going on, what the colors are going to look like, what they're wearing, the fabric, not just that his eyes are brown, but what could we compare that brown to so that the reader can get a vivid picture in their own mind of what it is, and the senses. Do you smell coffee brewing? Is there bread baking? All the senses. The more senses that you can stimulate, the more it comes alive to your reader.
And Susan says many of the stereotypes that surround romance novels aren't true.
These are not trashy novels. This is not, there's lessons to be learned, there's philosophy, there's real life drama, you can learn things from these books.
Susan has a finished manuscript of her 3rd romance novel. She's hoping to have it published by the end of the year. And after she finishes a book, Susan says she walks away from it for at least 2 months before it's sent off to the editor.
I need to get away from it so that when I go back and reread it, I'm reading it kind of brand new again. Because when you're that close to a piece of work, things that are obvious to me might not be obvious to you.
What's the hardest part of a book to write, the beginning, middle, or the end?
The middle. I always have the beginning and I always have the end. It's making the stuff meet in the middle with conflicts. I love a happy ending. I could come up with a happy ending, like, no problem. And beginnings aren't that difficult for me either.
Is there a typical romance reader?
I'm gonna say I have no way of answering that because I've sold books to men And I would have not thought that I ever would. And I was always, do you want me to sign it to your wife? They're like, no, it's for me. And I'm like, rock on, brother. You've got a lucky wife, you know? Because that to me is like research, you know? So I can't tell you who it is. I'm sure the statistics will tell you that it's the majority of women.
So where do you see yourself in 15 to 20 years?
To have a book list that's probably got 20 or 30, if not more, books on it. I've got them all in my head and they're just dying to come out. And even if I write them just for me to say that I got all those stories out, I would love to have a huge book list. She would much rather go a little hungry than be caught by him. Nothing was worth that.
Susan's well on her way to getting there, one book at a time.
Susan says when she writes, she can't have any distractions.
In fact, she says she sends her husband away to his native Scotland to visit family. That leaves her home alone to concentrate on her writing.
For more information on Susan's novels or to find out where you can buy them, go to our website, delmarvalife.com.
Still to come on Delmarva Life, whether you grow your own or shop the produce aisle, fresh vegetables add beautiful color to any great taste to any meal. Up next, Food Network star Ree Drummond reveals her springtime recipes fresh from the garden, plus how to get the most flavor out of our veggies.
A little later on, Lisa and I are in the kitchen whipping together one of Ree's favorite recipes, spring stir fry. And while we're in the kitchen, Dr. Oz says certain foods can help us create our own home spa.
Hi, I'm Dr. Oz. Visiting a beauty spa can be heaven. If you can't splurge, do it yourself. To smooth wrinkles, make a mask with half a banana, 1 teaspoon honey, a 1/4 cup of yogurt, and then apply it to your face and rinse off after 15 minutes.